So in this video, we're gonna break down exactly how I made this whole full, all-encompassing 1975, 80s throwback pop, synth wave, whatever you wanna call it, that kind of sound, that's what we're gonna break down piece by piece. Let's jump into it. Number one, the drums, kick, snare, and toms. The biggest thing you're gonna notice is that these drums are completely either 1 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. We have super dry, in-your-face, splatty drums. And we're gonna have drums that are super reverb, super washed out, or have that gated, very quick, hard, and then stop reverb like this. So like with everything in this genre, it's incredibly bombastic and in your face and impactful. Adjectives to keep in mind for this kind of sound are brilliant, hyped, and almost artificial sounding with their tone. Number 1.5, percussion. So a similar thing with the amount of contrast that we're gonna see here. It's either super dry or super wet. There doesn't seem to be a lot of a middle ground in this genre. A lot of times we're gonna leave the space in the giganticness for the kick, snare, and toms. Now these be kind of more sprinkles on top of the drum cake, if you will. So when you're thinking of these kinds of sounds, think reserved on top and quick. Number 2, bass. So there are a couple super iconic bass sounds, but the first one that comes to mind is gonna be this pluck. It's gonna have a really intense percussive quality to it, very almost rhythmic sounding. And it's gonna have a very large bottom end, typically more prominent than the low end of the kick is gonna be in a lot of cases. So things to think of for this kind of sound, you're gonna wanna think plucky, a round, big low end, and dominant in the mix. Number 3, keys. So this sets an incredible harmonic foundation for the vocals, and there's a lot of stuff I want to break down with this. Just off the bat, we're immediately thinking with the word luscious and full and completely watery and all-encompassing. And we do that with usually layering a lot of sounds together into one. Oops. So for example, we might have one synth just playing these parts here. Classy. We're gonna have other synths taking the role in the lower place so we can manipulate them, play with how prominent they are doing these parts. So all this comes together in a way to make this really beautiful, lush wall of sound like this. And one thing I forgot to say is that you probably are gonna wanna have at least one element doing a very pulsing kind of synth sound where it's getting pushed down on the quarter note with what we call sidechain compression, which you can either manually do with volume automation or using a compressor to do, just to have that kind of sound like this. Number 4, vocals. So you're gonna see a ton of layers here. This is another absolute wall of sound aspect, and it's going to completely fill all the space along with the keys to create that big hug kind of feel we're looking for. We're gonna want lots of doubles, lots of reverb, and probably a lot of harmonies to go on top of our lead vocal melody. The big trick here is making sure that it all feels cohesive, almost like one voice, even though in this track we have, I think, at most points, 13 to 15 or 16 layers going on. They do need to feel cohesive at all times. So when you're thinking vocals, think dense, ethereal, and shiny.
I feel the way you look at me now, the way you smile, I got my feeling, I'm just gonna say it.
Number 5, chord and harmony choices. So when it comes to harmonic choices, we wanna focus on something that's gonna kind of sound resolved, but not too directly like, that's too cheesy for this genre, and we want it to be a little saucier than that. So instead of ending on this kind of final chord, or starting on this final chord, I'm going to a part in the key, the 4 chord, a C major 7. And then I'm not using any chords that are just complete normal triads. I'm adding an extra pitch on top so it kind of has an extra sense of emotion and feel to it. So instead of it just being a C, E minor, D, which would be this, which is not bad, but it's not quite as saucy and vibrant and vibey as I want. So I'm doing C major 7 to E minor add 2 to a D6 chord, which sounds like this. So that is everything that breaks down this entire genre. Let's check it out in full.
I see you trying to get so close now.
So thank you so much for checking out this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it and comment below what other genres would you like an Anatomy of breakdown for. I would love to show you that. If you haven't checked out the last one of Anatomy of Trap Pop, it's right here. And another video I know that you'd absolutely love here. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Why wouldn't you be at this point? We've already spent time together. I love you, you love me too. Have a great day. See you in the next one.